IL Café. We have you covered.
Hello and welcome to IL Café. Today we're going to talk about SME insurance, and the context to that is this one. India has 63 million MSMEs spread across it, and they've been contributing nearly 40% of overall exports in India. Now, the penetration rate of general insurance for non-life insurance in India was 0.9% in the fiscal year of 2019, which increased from 0.06% in 2009. So that's the background and growth that we are talking about. So clearly, I mean, as is evident, this is quite an uphill task for insurers like ICICI Lombard to close the gap that exists and also engage with SMEs very, very effectively. So yes, that is what we're going to be doing on IL Cafe today. Welcome to the show. This is Sheetal. And the person that I have joining us on the show to help us understand the space a bit better is Faiz Ahmad, and he is an insurance professional with over 2 decades of experience behind him. He's also currently the Vice President SME Agency at ICICI Lombard. So who better than him to tell us a little bit more about this? And he also describes, by the way, himself as a distribution evangelist through insurance brokers and advisors, and is working towards realizing the potential of retail and SMEs. So thank you so much, Faiz, for joining us on IL Cafe, and welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you for giving me an opportunity to be a part of this discussions. Thanks a lot.
The first question has to do with the efforts that the government has increased towards promoting technology upgradation, financial liquidity, market linkages, skill upgradation, all of these, which are typically challenges for MSMEs. And these have been really working wonders. So does that really mean that the coming year is going to see exciting times ahead of us? Because I keep wondering why insurance doesn't really get the same level of attention, and what can be done to spread the word, Faiz?
Yes, certainly. I think the very beautiful question that you really coined and asked me. So I'll tell you, if you look at the current situation, the unfortunate part is that not many SMEs are aware of the business exposures that they carry in terms of their risk when they are, doing in a particular industry, and hence the insurance becomes a last priority for them to be a part of their overall business discussions, right? And that is the only reason why they are exposed to such risk, which probably become a financial issue at the end of the day for them. Few things which comes to my mind apart from the government intervention. I'm sure government is doing their part, but yes, now the SME and MSME trade associations, they also play a very, very vital and pivotal role when you start discussing about their own members' well-being, their own well-being in terms of the exposure. That's something which is important for them to do. Banks now have again started doing it very aggressively, and I'm sure banks has a larger penetration, which will ultimately help all of us in reaching the last mile of SMEs. Thirdly, you rightly mentioned about the government initiatives. Yes, the government are taking initiatives. Live example that I can give you at this point in time, the Maharashtra government's initiative about ensuring all the shop establishments in Maharashtra is a draft that they have rolled out, right? That is a very beautiful way forward for the governments to intervene. And similar kind of a setup has been done by Kerala government also, when they're giving a subsidy to buy our insurance policy for the SMEs and MSMEs registered there. So that is a kind of movement that has really triggered up in the past couple of months. And I'm sure India is a hub of larger SMEs, and it will go a long way in ensuring them.
Right. And I like the positive note that you have spun over here for us. And yet, the SME sector, we noticed, right, was quite severely affected due to the liquidity crunch that happened when the pandemic really hit us. And just to give a context to our viewers, that sector is estimated to be around 42 million plus registered and unregistered companies that drive about 95% of the total industrial units in India. So that's the size that we're looking at. And if anything, COVID-19 has taught us the need to be prepared for the unexpected. That, I think, is our biggest takeaway, in addition to our focus on our health. But in general, in recognition of this sector's contribution to the economy, I would imagine SMEs should be focusing on insurance. So what are the benefits that will accrue to SMEs if they do consider insurance?
If you look at the SME domain, the small and medium enterprises are actually exposed to a lot of potential threats, and that could impact the operations, their assets, their entire financial well-being, and probably it has an exposure to shut shops, right? And in this particular domain, insurance can really play a very, very pivotal role in safeguarding their interests, right? It's a very critical tool because ultimately you are transferring the risk to an insurance company, which is going to help you at the time of any natural disaster or any calamity or anything which comes to your in terms of financial, uptake. That is point number one. If I give you some classical examples, what do I see when I talk about SME insurances? One very classical, product, we call it the property insurance, which protects the buyer from physical assets, their buildings, their equipments, their plant and machineries for against natural disasters, theft, fire, or any such incident coming their way. They can be safeguarded. Then they have a business interruption going on, wherein probably if you are failing to deliver your promises to your end buyer and you have a business interruption cover taken, then business interruption cover can help you in compensating that loss that you could have incurred there. That is something which is again important. Then again, the labor ministry asked to cover their workers as well. So that is how the insurance policy, which is workers compensation policy, helps their the well-being of the workers working in a particular unit, which is a manufacturing setup or any other setup for that matter. I'm sure every day in a newspaper we now keep hearing about the cyber threats, right? So cyber is a new threat that probably now MSMEs are exposed to. Cyber insurance now protects them against the cyber threats. So there are multiple product lines. For export-oriented unit, if I give you a very classical example, the goods that they transit from one location to the other destination, it has a lot of exposures, right? And they also want it to reach at the particular destination safely. So they can also insure them in terms of transit insurance exposure that they carry. So there are multiple lines of business insurances that really helps all these MSMEs and SMEs to safeguard their interest. And post-pandemic, it has become all the way more critical and crucial, because at the end of the day, it is money which is there on the stake.
One other thing, and you brought that up over there, right? From the point of view of the employees of these MSMEs or SMEs, we've seen obviously individuals taking a lot more cognizance of their own health, especially post the pandemic. It's always been there, but nevertheless, pandemic has seen an uptick in that focus. But organizations also, for many reasons, are now putting employee well-being at the center of all that they do, whether it is mental health or physical health, whether it is conducting workshops in yoga. And, we hear so much of the employee being at the center of that particular universe. And I think the younger people also, right, the younger part of the workforce is quite interested in joining organizations that appear to be caring for their well-being and not just their career or professional growth. So in that context, right, SME organizations that offer group health insurance, that's one of the categories that I want to focus on over here. Tell us about the benefits for a company that takes group health insurance, Faiz.
Yeah, so if you look at the current situation in the country, the cost of medical hospitalization is increasing every passing years, like anything. If you look at the percentage growth, it is 20% inflation that we see in the medical cost triggering in the hospitalization. It's a huge cost. It's a huge outgo, right? So now the SMEs have started realizing the importance of medical costs, which really hits the employees at the end of the day, right? So now SMEs have started offering their employees the health insurance benefit, right? The beauty of this plan, when you talk about SMEs taking a plan versus individual taking a plan, there's a kind of difference that we have in the coverages and etc. For example, when you buy a corporate insurance plan or a SME insurance plan, you have an option of covering all the pre-existing ailments from day one. That is the option that you can explore in it. It also can add a benefit of maternity for the female employees or the spouses of the employees, right? So at the end of the day, from the employer side, it's an employee benefit tool, right? And it acts as a wonderful wonderful angle when you talk about you probably retaining your employees or giving them some benefits, because there's a lot of times when people feel that, okay, am I really being cared by my organization? So this is one of the tools by the HR employee benefit side. Okay, yes, you are being absolutely most privileged lot working with us as an organization. It's a beautiful tool. The second addition to this, I'll say, is a accidental benefit. So more than hospitalization, yes, it is an important aspect, but accidental disabilities or death of an employee again is a very, very challenging thing to cover. There's a policy which covers a group accidental a feature of a particular SMEs, right? And the employees get covered in it. So combination of a medical insurance, which is health insurance, and accidental coverage gives a wonderful coverage as a benefit tool. That is something which is now picked up very, very rapidly.
Now, the other area, you again had brought that up as when you spoke about the different offerings that we have over here. You spoke about cybersecurity, and that's a huge area, right? Across businesses, across sectors. So in this particular case, if a company falls victim to a cyber threat or an attack, does ICICI Lombard have any product or solution for this sort of a scenario, some sort of insurance coverage perhaps?
So yes, there's a possibility of covering your cyber threat exposures. For example, if somebody hacks into your system and gets your data deleted, or hack your data, or something on those lines happens, it's a big financial loss for organizations, right? So we at ICICI Lombard certainly has a policy which is I can categorize into two formats. So one of the policy covers the retail part of exposure. For example, as an individual, if I want to cover my cyber threats, because we have exposed to using mobile phones, internet, and so on and so forth. We are all exposed to it. We can cover our individual interest also. As an organization, SMEs and MSMEs, if they want to cover their cyber threat in their own system, yes, it is possibility to cover their own cyber exposures as well. So now the product is available in the country, and the uptake of the product is phenomenal, because at the end of the day, if you can safeguard such risk, with probably people sitting anywhere in the world can just attack your systems. I think nothing like it. So yes, there's a durability of covering both the things together today.
Now I'm coming to one more area, and we briefly sort of skimmed over this as well, but again, details would be very useful. Any aspect of running a business involves an element of logistics, right? And every year, companies incur several losses on account of non-delivery, accidents, misplacements, etc. In this context, is there something that you offer MSMEs who need to insure or protect themselves against this sort of eventuality?
Yeah, so I touched upon my earlier coverages, but I'll give you a more elaborated version now. Marine transit is a part of a format which largely covers your risk related to logistics. For example, if you are an export-oriented unit and you are, transporting your goods from one destination to the other, one port to other port, yes, there's a lot of exposure that comes because there are multiple legs that gets changed within the country, or probably in the country you are sending your goods for, right? And at the end of the day, it's a sizable exposure, because at the end, if the goods doesn't reaches the spot, you are liable to bear that cost. So today the format has definitely evolved. You can cover all the domestic risk as well, probably sending one destination to the other destination within the country, or if you are export your unit and you want to export your goods and sending to other countries, that can also be insured. It covers your overturning risk, it covers your shortage, non-delivery, and a lot of other associated perils. But it's a very broad format, and it's a very old format of insurance. So yes, marine insurance plays a very critical role in safeguarding that.
Indeed, something new that ICICI Lombard is credited with is that website, the digital platform that we have created for SME business risk coverage. We are almost considered to be pioneers in the area. So tell us a little bit about this platform that's available to MSMEs.
Yeah, so thank you so much for giving us a compliment. Yeah, we absolutely were the first ones to launch this platform in ICICI Lombard, wherein we call it a digital SME, probably where the customers and the buyers can come to the website of ICICI Lombard and can buy the insurances which probably are needed by them. The couple of insurances which are easy formatted and easy to buy, easy to understand, we have kept those as of now. For example, if you're transiting your good from one location to other and immediately you have a need of a policy, you can just simply log into the website of ICICI Lombard and take the policy. Similarly, if you have workers, you have a contract being going on and you want workers to be insured in that, you can definitely take a policy from ICICI Lombard website. So all these small ticket size policies, all the policies which have a easy understanding by the customers themselves can go to the website and buy a policy. And it's an ease of buying a policy with an immediate attention.
To come to the other aspect of, the story, ideally, I should have asked this question right in the beginning, but better late than never, right? So what does ICICI Lombard's SME business insurance cater to in manner of a target segment? Who's your intended audience and who are the intended beneficiaries of the SME insurance business?
So I think I'll answer it in two ways. First, we don't consider it as a target audience. For us, these are people, these are customers who are in dire need of insurances, dire need of their risks which are exposed to be covered. And when we talk about as ICICI Lombard, as an institution, we have a moral responsibility to give them the right coverage, right thing, so that financially they are at peace, right? So for us, there is no target audience, there's nothing, no word which exists here. Yeah, at the end of the day, we keep on finding ways to reach these SMEs and give them the solutions that they are looking ahead. Because if you ask me today, the awareness of the first topic that you touched upon, today the problem statement was awareness, right? So we figure out a ways how to reach these associations, these people, these SMEs, and make them aware of the problem statement that they are facing day in and day out, and give them a solution which is simplistic to understand rather than a complex solution which we do not understand in terms of insurance. So that is how we try to create products in the company which are simplistic, can cover all the exposure that they expose in a single format, and one policy can serve the entire purpose of the particular SME unit that they run. So this is the kind of approach that we keep as ICICI Lombard.
But if you were to summarize and address a specific question in the mind of perhaps someone who's part of or runs an MSME, what's in it for me? What is the customer really going to gain from the proposition that this is all about?
Yeah, so from the customer point of view, if you honestly ask me, the understanding of all the products practically is not possible for them, and I don't expect the customers to really want and spend time in it, because at the end of the day their basic core job is something else in non-insurance, right? So as an insurance, the ultimate thing that we try to really take the journey ahead is giving them a simplistic insurance comprehensive policy. So for the customer, they get one comprehensive policy which largely insures them in various formats. For example, if your exposure is related to fire, if your exposure is related to workers, if your exposure is related to liabilities or marine, so one format really helps them in getting all those exposures covered in a simplistic way, right? That is what we really look ahead when we talk about what is there in the customer. For the customer, it is a comprehensive package, probably which helps them in getting fully satisfied, fully at solace, because at the end of the day, they should not put brains, they should not put energy and time in something which is not their core domain. It is an insurance company domain and a responsibility of an insurance company to help them.
And speaking of help, right, helping customers that we have, this is other aspect of things. We're just at the time of recording with you, we're just hosting the Secret Santa sort of celebration, and one has to buy gifts. And I realize for me, it's the ease with which I can buy a gift. So that's the platform or portal that I'm going to go to. Where is the most convenient option available to me nearest and within the time that I need these items to be delivered to my office? So everybody's gifting is covered. And that ease of conducting or doing transactions is what I think every one of us, irrespective of what task it is looking forward to. You've told us about the digital platform, but is it really that simple? Can someone, for example, just insure themselves while chomping into a sandwich or a piece of cake?
Certainly, when we designed this portal, which is sme.icicilombard.com, the only thing that we had in mind was keeping the customer first and see how convenient it can be for a layman to buy a policy. Right. So whatever clicks that we have kept is keeping in mind, if I don't understand insurance, can I still buy a policy from ICICI Lombard's portal? That was the premise when we started launching this thing, and that was the whole discussion that we got originated. And today I'll say yes, certainly we have got a bit success there, because at the end of the day we kept customer first before everything else. In 3 clicks you can buy a policy. It is that ease and convenience that we have tried to build from our side, and that is a journey that we will continue as an endeavor to take ahead also.
One last question, right? At the time of recording this podcast, we are looking at 2024 with new eyes, right? Any personal bucket list of things to do? I like to ask all my guests something personal about themselves. Any things that you've decided you want to do in the year 2024? Bungee jumping, scuba diving, learning to play a guitar?
I think, so I'm a marathon runner, right? And that is how it keeps me going, right? So we have a Mumbai marathon coming very, very near. So I'm looking forward for that marathon. That is what something it's immediately in the cards for me on the personal front.
And nice to have a health kind of an angle thrown in over here, because I'm sure part of running a marathon is also making sure that you're fit, you eat right, you work out every day, sleep well. All of that is part of the territory. And here's wishing you the very best in the upcoming marathon fairs. And thank you for joining us on IL Café.
Thank you so much. It's a wonderful pleasure to speak with all of you. Thanks. Wonderful. Thanks a lot.